Hey there, and welcome to Tidbits News, where we look back at the past week and see what's been going on. Let's kick things off with some history news. 550 years ago, the printing press was invented. But more importantly, this week a librarian from the University of Reading came across a 540-year-old leaf of printed paper. Now, the page comes from a medieval priest's handbook, which had been printed by the very man who introduced the printing press to England, William Caxton. The page had been preserved because it had been pasted into another book to reinforce its spine. In other history news, archaeologists exploring the catacombs of the ancient cemetery Tuna el Gebel in Egypt have found numerous mummies. The site has been undergoing excavation for 80 years. And whilst it's much too early to date any of the artefacts, the presence of coins indicate an era of less than 2,500 years old. Moving over to science now, and new scans of the ocean floor show the paths of icebergs and glaciers, where they actually dug and drove into the seabed. Now, these look random, but they show the history of ocean currents and water depth. Looking forward, this will also allow us to predict future ice behaviour. And in Mars news, new modelling by University of Colorado Boulder researchers suggests that Mars didn't form in the inner solar system along with the other rocky planets. Instead, it formed within the asteroid belt and migrated inwards once formed. Now, this is an unlikely theory. Only about 2% of modelling simulations generate this hypothesis, but we won't know for sure until we take a closer look at Venus. This is going to take some time, because at the moment there are no missions planned for Venus. At all. And finally, in arts news, over the weekend we had Eurovision, which means a little bit of this and a little bit of this. For me though, the big news to come out of Eurovision was the closure of Israel's broadcasting authority. This year's Eurovision was the last program ever broadcast. Now, the broadcaster is being replaced by a state-funded model, but from an outsider's perspective, and many commentators in the country as well, it's not being well managed. That's all the news for this week. There's a fresh episode of Tidbits coming out on Friday, so make sure you hit subscribe, don't miss that. And now for the final tidbits. The Eurovision Stadium uses over 1.7 megawatts of power. That's 800,000 watts just for lighting and 800,000 watts just for the sound system.